So I want to ask you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your name, what you do, for those who doesn't know you? I mean, maybe there is a few, but just, little overview.
Okay. What's up? My name is Matt Alonzo. I'm a filmmaker. I've been shooting since I was 8 years old, editing since I was about 10, professionally for the last 12 years. And my most notable work is music videos. That's what seems to get everybody excited. Although I've done pretty much every type of project besides a long form narrative. And yeah, so that's me in a nutshell.
Do you think it's possible to get into industry or make a living from video making without entering the film school?
So right now, I believe that you can get into the industry without film school. A lot of the people that I came up with, there was about half of us that went to film school or some sort of college, and then the other half who didn't and kind of learned on their own. Sorry. Um, so there was always that little divide, and those people thought they knew it better. We thought we knew it better. For me, college was film school. For me was something that was keep for me, film school really kept me on track. I didn't have a ton of money, so I couldn't really afford to go to film school. So I went to a city college, and I was kind of just messing around. And I started getting really good grades on my buddy's projects, who was actually in film school. And he told my parents, like, "Hey, you have to figure out what you have to do. Get this guy over here." So when my parents decided to let me go to film school, or pay for film school, I knew it was like super serious, so I took it really serious. So I got the most out of it, and I wouldn't be where I am today without it. So that's why for me personally, there's no way I could be where I'm at without that 3 years of education, that 3 years of just basically just harnessing my craft and like growing up a little bit. But yeah, I think right now there's just grab a camera and go out there and shoot. And YouTube, there's you know, so many classes and things available. You just really have to know what you're looking for, because I feel like everyone's looking for like the editing techniques and like these camera techniques. But for my film school is really about storytelling and visual storytelling with with images and really just all the things from color science to frame, to the framing. Those are the things that really matter. But some people just have it inherently. So I definitely think you don't have to go to film school. And right now, I don't even know a film school to recommend, because college is so expensive, and I don't really know one that I would say, yeah, this is the one. So
Yeah, tell me about the money.
yeah, I know. I mean,
I guess it's yeah, I think it's
yeah.
also different. Like it depends, like in which country you're studying. Because, for example, I'm studying right now in London, and I think it's different than in America, because here they leave you to do everything by yourself. Like
Yeah.
they're kind of giving you the project, but they're not leading you that much.
Yeah.
But I don't know how it's in America. Like,
Well, I went to film school 12 years ago, and my film school was really expensive. I think I ended up, it was 3 years BA. It was a full year round. And I think I ended up, it was like 85. But some of my friends were like 120 because they took out money to live and everything. So it was a lot of money. And some of my friends actually, there's like two or three from my graduating class that actually ended up in Hollywood or doing something with the degree. Everyone else pretty much ended up back home working at a cell phone store or something. So for those people, I really felt bad for, because I felt like they loved movies, like they loved watching movies. They didn't really love making movies, and they just spent 120,000. You know, but for me, at the time, I didn't really like school, because I'm like, yo, just give us a camera, let us go shoot. We know what we're doing. But for the first year, we had to take slides. We had to take we had to tell stories in like 5 images. We got to use a light meter. We shot on film. Then we shot on 16 millimeter. And so all those things just, I mean, I commend my school, and I'm so thankful that I was able to go at the time I did. But yeah, it put me in the hole. So, some kids, I know kids who just said, forget that. I'm going to take half of that money and just go buy a camera, buy equipment and do it that route. I don't really see that route being as beneficial, because the cameras just become obsolete when a new one comes out. So it's really hard. Not that my degree meant anything, but just the education, the connections, and for me, the time to mature and kind of grow up a little bit.
and have you tried every role in the school, or you were focused on one role for the whole time?
When I was in film school, you want to when I was in film school, they actually had us, focus on different roles. But at that time, which was, like I said, 12 years ago, it was so different. So they really wanted us to specialize. So at that time, I was specializing in editing. My first year was editing, and then I started making all these really bad directors look good. And I was like, forget this. I've been shooting my whole life. I'm just going to direct. I can edit my own stuff as well. And so then the next 2 years, I focused on directing. And obviously, I've been editing everything. I've edited 300, 400 projects since I got out of school. But I did learn how to produce, AD'd, set design. I mean, everything, DP. So that was fun. It was just fun to just kind of, because you want to be able to have that vantage point to be able to explain whether you're, depending on what position you are, you still want to be able to communicate. So you want to know a little bit about that other position so that you're able to, communicate properly. So that was fun.
You often do one-man show, right? So what do you think? What's your point of view? What are the positives and what are the negatives?
Well, I mean, for me, for me, I didn't. For me, growing up, I really didn't have a lot. My parents were, middle to low, low class. Like we were just kind of, I didn't know that we were like that at all. But I had everything I absolutely wanted. But I didn't have a lot of things to make films or to make things with. I just had a hand-me-down camera or hand-me-down lights or just whatever was around it. So I got used to making making something look really big out of nothing really. And so it does have its disadvantages. I mean, I can grab a camera and I feel confident just within myself. I can grab my cell phone and I know I can go and shoot and edit. It's not something I prefer. For me, filmmaking is a team effort. Especially when you get to like a certain level, there's so many key positions that bring their own element, and without that, it just doesn't. It lacks that power. Is it? Are you able to reproduce it? Possibly. It's going to take you a lot of time as far as pre-production. If you're a one-man show, like a lot of time to emulate what somebody else might do with a 20-person crew or 10-person crew. It just depends on what it is too. You know what I mean? But like when you're talking, set design, wardrobe, DP. You got electric. You got 10 people on the electric crew. You know what I mean? You got your your jib arm. You got all these things moving, which a lot of my sets are like that as well. So I don't prefer to go out by myself, but I know that if I do stuff by myself. Like actually, I was in London with Nipsey Hussle, 8 years ago, and I shot that all by myself, and I shot a whole documentary series by myself because I was one of the first ones to shoot on a 5D and the 7D for like the music videos and documentaries and all that type of stuff. So once I knew I could shoot like that, I was fine. But it still lacks if you look at something like Celebration or Martians vs. Goblins, and you look at something that I shot by myself, you can totally tell there's a difference.
So it's a different level, right? Because I wanted to
absolutely.
ask you, like, if you see some differences when you are by yourself, like in the product, in the video,
Yep.
or you would not even notice.
Yeah, well, it just depends on what it is. You know what I mean? Like Celebration, the video with Game, it was an exterior video. And it was just a picnic. The video looks like a picnic, but it was 3 days. We had 20 Ks out there. We had 40 by Silks. We had 2 Alexas. We had it was a full 40, 50 person crew, and so that's really the look of that compared to me just grabbing a camera and going shooting a picnic or a barbecue. Yeah, but a lot of people just don't even. They're like, "How did you have so many people?" They're just hanging out at the park. I'm like, and I show them the behind the scenes. But there are some things though, like a lot of my first videos. I wouldn't say I shot one man band, but there was like 2 or 3 of us. You don't need a ton of people, but you definitely need a couple creative heads to collaborate with.
Can you imagine, like nowadays, you would shoot some project on your phone instead of the professional camera?
Do I?
No, if you do it, but can you imagine to do it? Like,
Oh
would
yeah,
you do it?
I would do it absolutely. I think for me, equipment doesn't really matter. I really don't care about the equipment. I'll shoot on anything. And people always ask me, "What's your favorite camera?" I'm like, whatever works. Obviously, each project, depending on what the narrative is or who the target audience is, or what the overall, feel and vibe I want to go with, it's going to depend on lenses and this, like, and this and that. But as far as like overall favorite, like anything that works, and I have no problem shooting on phone. I remember I was in film school, and now I was my senior year, and we had little chocolate phones. I don't know if you remember, like there was a little chocolate phone. It just had a little boop, and our teacher was like, "Hey, see this? You're gonna end up watching movies on this. You're gonna end up watching videos, and you're gonna be." We all looked at our phones and just started laughing. We were like, "You're out of your mind." And then, a couple of years later, we were like, "Wow."
It's
But yeah, a couple of my friends actually shot music videos on it. They'll use like certain apps, film apps, and things like that. But yeah, one of my buddies, Taj, he shot a video for Fabulous, which is a pretty big rapper. He shot it all on an iPhone. So yeah, I mean, there's movies that shot on an iPhone now. So and especially if you can find a way to make it something that is almost like a POV, or something where the phone is actually like, you know, used in it, that's pretty cool too. But like, as far as like having your camera and then having like a 50 millimeter lens with this and that, and then you have like a Ronin, and it's like, I'm like, what's the point? I see people do that. I'm just like, at that point, it doesn't make any sense. At that point, it doesn't make any sense.
yeah, because it's not phone anymore.
Yeah, exactly. It's retarded, but teach his own. Teach his own.
What do you think? What do you think are the most important things during making the music video? What are the most important things to keep in mind?
Okay, well, the most important things to keep in mind when creating a music video, first you want to figure out, first you want to do your research, your market research, figure out who your artist is. Yeah, you may think you know them, but you really need to dive deep and figure out, you know, some of their last videos. Really just kind of do your research and figure out who their brand is, who their brand is now, who their brand was. The last thing you want to do is write an idea that they've already done. You really want to study that person, not necessarily you want to emulate or copy anything, but you just want to get familiar with, what their brand encapsulates. And then you want to figure out who their target market is. Do they want to cross genres? Do they want to, go to the same audience, but a little bit harder? I mean, what's their message? What do they want to do? Because at the end of the day, that's all the music video is just another advertisement for that brand, to hit a certain demographic and to convey a message, whether that's, oh, they're cool, or, oh, they have all the girls, or they have all the money, whatever it is, it's a message, and so you just want to figure out from either the artist or the label or whoever's going to be the point person, kind of, not necessarily, they probably won't even know, but you just want to, ask some questions and just gather some information about their brand, because that's really what it's about. You can have this really cool idea and like, I have you tied upside down and like all this stuff, and it's like an R&B song and it just doesn't fit at all. So, and a lot of the younger directors that I work with sometimes they're so stuck on an idea that they'll just like replace it with any artist, and it just doesn't work. So it's really, you want to just create the best idea for that brand or for that artist, and figure out what they want to do with it, what they're trying to do. So that's what I would say is the most important thing.
So the pre-production is for you really important, right? Because you are, yeah, it's like the most important part. Do you enjoy it?
Well, I mean, the way it goes normally, especially nowadays, it's kind of like, hey, here's the song. They'll send you a solicitation, and sometimes they'll be like, hey, Wiz Khalifa, 40,000, shoots in a week and a half. I need treatment by tomorrow. So, you have to
Not
write
that
an
much
idea.
time for pre-production.
Yeah, well, you write the idea that gets approved. Say you write an idea, it gets approved maybe in a day or two, and then you get like 4 days of pre-production. But at that time, what for me anyways, what I'll do is I'll end up writing an idea that I don't need a ton of pre-production. I'm not gonna write an idea that I know I have to shoot in 5 days. That's gonna be like a timepiece where everybody needs wardrobe, or we need a certain set, or I need to build a set. I'm not gonna do that for something like that. Sometimes you get solicitations and they'll say, hey, it needs to shoot by, a month or whatever. And those are a little bit better, although they usually don't even pick the person until like a week before anyway. So it's always a mess, but you just got to prepare for that, prepare your team for that. And pre-production is great if you get the opportunity. But, sometimes it's hard because, you have your DP, you have all these people coming in and you want to do scouts, you want to do all these things, but you got to pay them for that. So the budget goes away really quickly. And I know there's going to be some enthusiastic filmmakers going, oh man, I would never charge for a scout. well, it's not your 15th year or your 20th year, and I'm calling in a DP who's 5, 10 years my senior, and I got to, hey, you want to come over here and scout for free? Like I don't even. It's just kind of a it's
Yeah.
just etiquette, at that point. So it gets a little sticky, but you want to make the best project regardless. And as a director, I mean, my job is to shot list. I'll go scout the location. I'll take pictures. I'll put it all together so that I can walk my DP through it if we don't have the money to scout or whatever. But I'll do as much as I can. So pre-production is important, and I try to maximize. I usually go to bed like at 4 o'clock in the morning before the shoot date. So
Everyone, during the interview, they say like, "Oh yeah," like something in the meaning like, "I don't sleep."
oh yeah, no, I don't sleep at all. I slept like an hour last night, so
Oh my God. So we appreciate you're here with us.
yeah, no problem. Appreciate you guys.
Do you also write script before the shooting, or do you have only the storyboard?
So I mean, like I just said, there's not a lot of time. I've only storyboarded one time, maybe twice in my entire 12, 13-year career, and those two times were with a brand when I believe it was Ciroc or another vodka company was actually paying for the video, so they wanted to see how their product was going to be integrated into the video. They actually wanted to see it, so we had to have a storyboard artist put together, a mock-up. But other than that, there's not enough time to you get 4 or 5 days, And for me, I'm more about, I've been editing since I was 8 years old. So I'm really, obviously this is what I do. So I shoot to edit, and kind of have a routine now down that it kind of covers me with all my bases and everything. So unless it's a narrative shoot, which even nowadays, you don't get the time anymore. And it's really hard, So no, we don't storyboard at all. And, to be honest, I don't even like writing a shot list, because if you notice like a music video, unless it's like a narrative type of piece or rock or something, but I mean a rap video cuts every 3 seconds, 5 seconds, so you got to write five. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, so
it's
we
just
just draw, and
yeah, because I write shot lists the way that you actually write like a movie shot list. That's the way I was taught. So I actually have a couple of them from my first music videos. But I remember I showed up to one of my first music videos with The Game. He's a rapper, and I was young, and I had a huge. I mean, I'm talking like this big. It was a shot list, and I'm like, hey, okay, and then he's just like, dude, what do you want me to do? And then after that, I kind of was like, okay, I'm gonna keep it in my head. I'm not gonna show up with the whole binder. So.
yeah. Maybe if they ask for it, then maybe it's better. Like they can't imagine
No,
what. No, okay.
no, because I mean, all you got to remember, all these artists are entrusting you with their brand, so they don't want to ask you to look at a piece of paper. If they want to ask you a question, you need to be able to deliver that answer to them, looking directly in their eye, and you need to stand by, it, even if you don't even believe it or if you don't even know what you're talking about. But they're entrusting their brand, and they're saying, "Oh, here, you can have my brand, and you get to spend all this money and make something cool for it." So, they trust you, And yeah, if I haven't met an artist who's really that into it, like usually once they trust me, they're like, whatever you want to do, Matt, just tell me what you want to do. I already know it's going to be crazy. So I don't have to explain it to them. I have to explain it to my crew. And most of the time,
Yeah.
like, that's already done. But yeah, I rarely ever have to show it to the artists, because, they just want to perform. And my job is really just to get the best performance out of them that day. I don't want to confuse them with too much information.
So talking about your first music video, how you felt? Were you like chilled or under the really like very
Uh,
pressured, or how did you feel?
I mean, it was exciting. It was like the first. It felt like Christmas, or like I played football my whole life, so it felt like a game day. It felt like finally we were here. We had practiced for so long, and I was just ready to go. I was ready to go. I remember one of my first videos was the game video I told you about. We had two red ones. First music video I ever shot on a red. Cook lenses. We had like a crew that was just all at a film school, all just kind of patched together. None of us had ever done anything. And yeah, we knocked that video out of the park for Interscope, and then we did Soldier Boy, turn my swag on, and Charles Hamilton, Fly Like a G6. I did like all #1 videos, like back to back to back, and they were all relatively cheap, but it was exciting. It was fun, something new, and I was finally being able to show my talent to the world, and that was really important. And obviously, being able to do it with all your friends and growing tighter with each passing video was amazing as well. So, yeah, I was really excited. I can't say I was ever nervous. I don't think I was ever nervous, because by that time I had already, I was so well prepared, and I could already see the vision in my head. I could see the video, so there was nothing to be nervous about. I was a little frustrated when things didn't go as planned, which they don't, but I didn't know that till, a couple of years down the line. So, but no, I was excited. It was fun. It was really fun.
And when you were starting, were you approaching people or they found you somehow?
Um, I mean, I worked at a record company. Well, I graduated film school. I was doing internships, and then my internship turned into a full-time job. And the record company ended up folding, and he kept me on staff to do like infomercials. So I quit that, and I was like, I just was done. My car got repossessed. I was dead broke. Like I had just quit like a really high-paying job, and I just walked out. I wasn't growing. I was already the top position, and I was like, there's nothing here for me. So car got repossessed. I was dead broke, and so I started Craigslisting. I did start hitting people up. MySpace was really big back then, so I started like MySpace, and
Yeah.
YouTube was barely getting going. And I just happened to get a call. They said, "Hey, come down to San Diego. Give you $150 to shoot this concert." No problem. We drove down there, and Lil Wayne was the headlining act for this group that I was filming. They were actually they were opening up for him, and so I loved Lil Wayne at the time, so I talked to the management, and everyone talked to the management, and eventually they let us shoot. And I took it home that night. I edited it, put it on YouTube, Lil Wayne official music video, and then that pretty much blew up. And DJ Ski
Yeah.
hit me up, and then we connected for Ski TV, which was one of the first like YouTube channels. Back in, what was it, 2008. So then once I teamed up with Ski had all the connections, because he was a DJ, he was into marketing and advertisements, and then I had all the skills. So we just, that's how it just kind of kept coming in, and we knew people at Interscope and Warner Brothers, and so at that point, we didn't really ever go look for work, but I could tell him an artist I wanted to work with, and then he would go out and get them. So that was always good.
Like when you, let's say like you make the project, right? Like on the budget and like some video, and then you want to like, what's the next step of that? Because you want to promote it to the bigger productions
Oh
or
yeah, I mean, well, it's just so I mean, it really depends on how much the budget is. I mean, for me at this point, pretty much anything under like 10 to 15,000, I'll do on my own. Like I'll do on my own and bring a producer in, and we'll just do it in house. All my videos over like 30, 40, 100, 150,000. Then I bring in a production company. Usually I work with Happy Place, Tara Wasabi, and they were great. And I mean, because one thing that a lot of people may not know is that if say you get approved for a $100,000 budget or $80,000 budget, the record label actually gives you half of the money up front. So you got to cover the other half as a production company. And most of the time, though, you're going to have a production company already in talks, because the record label is probably not going to just say, "Hey, kid, do you want 100 grand?" Usually they're going to have somebody that they're going to, that they know that they're going to kind of triangle in, or you're going to kind of have somebody, you kind of have to have somebody that's ready to go, or else they're not going to give you that type of budget. They're going to give you like $5,000-8,000 things, and then as you progress and get a production company, and then maybe they'll give you bigger jobs. But yeah, I mean, everything that was big, I did it through them, and yeah, so that was kind of how I ran my stuff, and it was great. I mean, because at that point I could only I could just focus on directing, and they did all the, but they, "Hey, do you like this? Do you like this? Do you like this location or this location?" Yeah, you make less money because you're not the production company. You're not taking all the other percentages. But for me, it was well worth it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you usually use natural light, or do you work with a natural light, or you
I
use?
mean, I'm a filmmaker. I'm like a gorilla, and like super Hollywood. I'll sit in my chair all day too.
Mhm.
Uh, I'll work with whatever. I don't matter. It doesn't matter to me at all. As long as the story's there, the emotion's there, it evokes emotion, it creates emotion, and there's something worth substance there. It just depends. I mean, like for instance, Chris Cornell, "Long Gone." It was a video that I shot with him. R.I.P. Chris Cornell. He was from Savage Garden, and my first like rock video, and we just shot it out all exterior, no bounce boards, no nothing. Just a red. And we actually went snowboarding. And there was like the snowboarding hill right here, and then there was a street, and then right across the street there was like a little patch of snow. We just filmed him right there, so he looks like he's like in the middle of the wilderness, but he's really not. He's like right across the street from the snowboarding. So yeah, that video is. I mean, there's a lot of videos that I have that are all exterior daylight. Like
Yeah.
I don't mind. It just doesn't matter to me. But I try to have everything have a style or some sort of aesthetic or color or just something that makes it stand out. So
Do you have some lightning tips, like some special tips, tricks? Yeah.
um,
Or not really.
no, I mean nothing. I could really like break it down like this. You know what
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean? Always put the person to the back. Always put. I know this is like the complete opposite of what people do, but you're supposed to have the sun to the back of your head,
yeah.
and then take the picture from the front, and then just have a bounce board or a white shirt or like a white cardboard box, or if you have a really white friend, just have him just show his belly and just bounce that sun right back into your person's face, and that picture will be a lot better than if you have that person directly looking into the sun. That's the only tip I can give you.
Remembering now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that's just I mean
Saving.
because nowadays sometimes I'll even point to this. I'll even have the sun hitting my face because I don't have a bounce board around me.
Yeah, I want to ask you about the Instagram because your Instagram looks amazing.
Trying to
And
DM me? Are you trying to get up my? Thank you very much.
and it's so important like nowadays to
Yeah, I
keep it,
guess.
like to work on your Instagram to promote yourself in a good way. And yeah, so how do you maintain your account? Is it like, does it take a lot of time? Because yeah.
I mean, for me, I've always had a brand. I mean, my MySpace was branding. The first video that got known, which was Lil Wayne Gossip official music video, was all branding as well. And then when I was over at Ski, he was a genius with marketing. We used to go on like private jets and we'd bring 2 or 3 outfits with us, and he would tell me to do it, and then he would take pictures and we would post them when we were doing anything. So I learned a lot of stuff like that. And so for me, like, I don't know, I was into it for, you got to keep up with it because people don't even go to your websites anymore. So I'm trying to figure out kind of like the in between of, you know posting like enough work on there but like not making it your end all be all, because at the end of the day, like, there's a lot of people that I know who are really working who have like 6 followers and they're directing feature films. So at the end of the day, does it really matter that much? No, it's a popularity contest. And yes, if you are more popular, you do get more opportunities, but at the same time, you still have to have the skill. You still have to be ready to go with all that. And, you know, I think you should focus on really, your craft first, and then if you need to use that as a marketing tool to bring work in, just understand what you're bringing in, you know what I mean, and what you're doing with it, and have a purpose and have a goal, not just trying to get validation. Because I did get lost, and I did talk about this for a little while. There was a time where I was signed to ICM. I was as a feature film director. I had like 11 #1 music videos, and I was really anxious and I was really nervous to shoot a feature film, and I was really like I feared failing. So it was much easier for me to go to my meetings, say hi, kind of half-ass it, and you know, count my Twitter reposts or my Facebook likes, and feel good about that and validate myself and feel like, okay, I'm doing something. And it was like that for like 6 months, and I really had to take a look at it. I'm like, what am I doing all this for? And this is before Instagram. This is before the numbers even meant anything. And I'm like, I didn't come out here to count my
Yeah.
likes. Like, I came out here to, but it was hard. It's really hard. And so it's really easy just to post a picture and get all this validation and make you feel as if you were moving down that path. But if you're not careful, you will go down a path that's completely, on the other end of a spectrum of where you want to go. So, I do say just kind of be careful with that, and but you definitely use it to your advantage to get some work in. But there's plenty of other ways to get work in, at least in the music video industry. Besides doing that, but yeah, I mean, definitely.
Like, for example, which ways?
Like, for example, like, say you're a music video director, you haven't really done anything yet, and you're trying to figure out, you've done a lot of, friend projects and smaller things, and you want to figure out how you can get your first label video. Make sure you have a really good reel. It can even be 30 seconds or 15 seconds, 30, whatever it is. Make it short. Don't make it very long. Make it really short, because no one's going to watch that long. And if you don't have anything, you don't have to go shoot these huge music videos. Just go shoot a 5-second shot for your reel. Like, just go shoot a bunch of those and put a reel together, like worst case scenario. And then what you do is go online and put video commissioners at record label, if you just Google that or you go to LinkedIn, you will find all these commissioners. And the commissioners are the ones at the record labels who actually, their job is to hire directors and actually follow out the whole projects from, from all the way down from the top CEO, picking what songs, and then they flush it out to figure out what directors. You just email them, say, hey, I'm new. If you ever have anything that I could write on, I would really, be interested. Keep it short. Here's my reel. Boom. Do it to a couple people, and I guarantee you will get something. If not, you at least, they'll at least say, oh, awesome. I'll keep you in mind, and then I guarantee you within a month or two, you'll get something to write on, and then you'll put together a treatment, and then hopefully, as you either get that one or you continue to do that, then something will pop off for you.
It's a nice tip. I think I needed
And
to
that's a
hear
way
that.
that's a way better it's a way better plan than trying to go on Instagram or like trying to like get, because most of the time anyone who hits me up on Instagram list, if they're not management, sorry. Like rappers or like people like, hey, what's your rate, bro? Like blah, blah, like, and it's just I got $200. Like that's not what you want to do. You'd much rather go to the head of the label or go to the commissioners, because they're going to say, hey, I got, even a small project for a commissioner is $5,000, $8,000, $10,000, which might be a ton for you. You might not be ready for that, but it's okay. You know what I mean? You can let them know that. Maybe they'll bring a producer in to help you if they like your work enough. But instead of DMing somebody back and forth about how much the rate is, and then you're like, hey, I got to edit. Well, this time, well, I need lights. You don't need any lights. You could just do it. I'm already shining, bro. Like it's not even worth it. So,
Do you sometimes get these kind of messages?
I mean,
Like,
I think
oh, hey,
everybody,
do you look for someone? Or
I think everybody does. You know what I mean? Like it's just, yeah, I mean, I think like for instance, my dad, I brought my dad to a lot of music videos and my mom, and before they came to a music video of mine, they didn't know what a set was like. They were like, man, all this stuff is rented. The jewelry's not theirs. The clothes is not theirs. That car's not theirs, and they didn't know that. They didn't know that until they went to a video. So a lot of people don't understand like what it takes, and that's okay. You know what I mean? It's but I always ask, there's a couple questions that I think this is the best way to like, uh, you know, navigate the contacts. First, you want to ask them, when do you want to shoot? When do you want the video released? Or when are you looking to have the video released? What's your budget? Do you have any creative ideas? You ask them those questions, and they're gonna say, well, what's your rate? What's your rate? Don't respond. Like at that point, it's over. You know what I mean? Like, because they're not showing you respect. They're going to micromanage. It's going to be a pain in the ass the entire way. They're going to have some whack idea that they're already going to go with. They're going to give you $200 and they're just going to micromanage the whole thing. It's going to be pulling teeth. So if they can't answer those questions, when would you like to shoot? Would you like to have the video released? What's your budget? And do you have any creative ideas? If they can't even just give you a couple of blurbs on that, then automatically it's going to be a complete headache. Now you can do the project, that's at your own risk, but just know that project's going to be a hell zone.
yeah, do you have something you would like to share or to tell our audience?
I mean, I just say, the only thing I can tell you guys is to have a vision. What I always say is just have a vision. Don't have a dream. Goals are just little markers. The vision is the end all be all, and you really want to be able to see wherever it is that you want in life, whether that's a family or whether that's a certain career. You want to be able to see yourself there, and then work your way backwards, and understand it's going to be hell to get there. You're going to encounter everything that you always tried to ignore and skip and turn away from. It's going to come at you, and it's going to come at you full throttle, and it's going to ask you if you really want this or not. So be prepared for that. And if you really want it, then you'll get there. You know what I mean? But the journey is the best part anyways. Once you get there, you're like, okay, that's already okay. What am I doing now? You know what I mean? The journey is the best part. So enjoy it. Definitely enjoy it. So
Love it.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you.